Higgs. Lucy's report. Report concerning the void out in the satellite town of UCA-01-002 near Central Knot City. Recorder unknown. Report date, time unknown. Location unknown. UCA-01-032 has been wiped off of the map by a void out, leaving nothing but an enormous crater. Terrorism was suspected at first, but the investigation spearheaded by Bridges quickly ruled out the possibility and eventually concluded that the cause was the corpse of a civilian which has been left to necrotize unnoticed in an urban residential area. The deceased was Lucy Strand. Tragically, she was also 7 months pregnant. The child had been named Lou. Cause of death was ruled a drug overdose, possibly intentional, though that remains unconfirmed at this time. Surveillance data was sent to Bridges HQ for analysis, but the results were inconclusive. Lucy's husband, Sam Strand, has been away for some time and became concerned when he was unable to contact his wife. Though he attempted to return home, the void out was triggered immediately after his arrival. Being a repatriate, Sam was the sole survivor of the blast. As the deceased was the wife of a prominent member of Bridges, who himself is the son of President Strand, public support for the organization suffered. Many criticized the crisis management team handling of the situation, as well as the priorities of the organization and President Strand herself. Some believe that Sam Strand was involved in his wife's death and that he should be held to account, while both the administration and Bridges adamantly defended him for a time. Public pressure continued to mount. In a gesture of his co-workers suspect was his way of taking responsibility, Sam Strand resigned from Bridges. His current whereabouts are unknown. Report 1 from Lucy. Report date, time unknown, location unknown. I've just concluded my first therapy session with Sam Strand. It was not held at the patient's request. Sam's adoptive mother, President Strand, approached me in the hope I might help her son overcome his aphantophobia, the fear of getting touched. Sam is an intriguing case. His reluctance notwithstanding, he recognized that his condition as it will continue to cause him much distress. I suspect it is rooted in a childhood trauma, but unfortunately, we have only just scratched the surface, and I cannot even begin to speculate what it might be. Like many of the Bridges core team members, Sam is a doomed sufferer. Unlike them, however, he is also a repatriate. Whether or not this is related to his aphantophobia, I cannot say at this time, but we would hardly be the first to manifest phobias as a result of his abilities. As an infant, Sam lost both parents and was adopted by President Strand. Owing to her stressful and time-consuming responsibilities, I can only say that a distant relationship with his adoptive mother may be a contributing factor. As previously mentioned, though, Sam is very reluctant to talk about himself. He is an intensely private individual, and it will take time to build trust and convince him to open himself up to me. Report number 2. This is a new one. Progress has been slow, but Sam has finally started to open up to me. However, his recollection of early childhood is confused and contradictory. He has difficulty distinguishing between genuine memories and recurring dreams. Sam even claims to have met his stepsister Amelie on the beach several times while quite young. An impossible claim, to say the least. I'm only a little older than Sam, but I was born before the Death Stranding, a fact that tends to affect the way we think about the beach. In my professional opinion, the beach is a figment of our collective imagination, a shared illusion, but people born later are more likely to take his existence as a given. I wonder if they find comfort in the belief because it helps to explain phenomena like BTs and repatriates like Sam. Similarly, my theory is that Sam's manufactured childhood memories of the beach or his way of coping with the fact that neither Amelie nor Bridget spent much time with him. I believe this is also the reason he still clings to the dreamcatcher Amelie gave him even now as an adult. You could call it his security blanket. It may not be the key to overcoming his aphantasmophobia. If Sam were to emotionally distance himself from Amelie, it might reduce his resistance to physical intimacy. I will propose this approach to him in our next session. It came as no surprise, but Sam was unreceptive to my suggestion and rejected my assessment of his relationship with Amelie. He asserted that he is not dependent on her or Bridget, and even went so far as to question my credential as a psychotherapist. His pronounced resistance to the idea only serves as a further evidence of his dependency. Nevertheless, there is little I can do if Sam is unwilling to explore the possibility other than continue to share my observation and hope that he eventually changes his mind. For the time being, I've decided to focus instead on Sam's feeling towards Bridges and his place within the organization. Given that it was founded to support and protect his adoptive mother, and that the other core members have dooms like he does, I think there is something to be gained from the discussion. His growing responsibilities within Bridge, due to their expanding mandate and his abilities as a repatriate, surely put him under great pressure, and I wonder if his enthusiasm for the mission was sincere. Based on our time spent together thus far, I believe he may have embraced his role because it helped him cope with feelings of isolation, that he pledged himself to an impossible endeavor because it was preferable to living and dying alone. I decided a different approach was required, and so requested a meeting with the President. Discretion was vital, as any information which might suggest she is receiving mental health treatment would be exploited by her opponents. The meeting was listed as an interview in official records, though I was more than willing to offer my services had they been requested. I opened by asking about Sam's childhood, to which the President responded with an immediate and heartfelt apology. Her frankness shocked me, I must confess. She expressed deep regret for her failure to engage with him, physically and emotionally, as she felt a mother should. At times, it felt as though she was apologizing to her son by proxy. Her candor was as impressive as it was appreciated. The President told me that her daughter Amelie had mostly taken care of Sam in her absence. She glossed over the details, but she divulged that Amelie also has dooms, and claimed that she would often take Sam with her to play on the beach. Interestingly, President Strand suggested that their time spent together there may be related to his current condition. Now a new report, report number 5. President Strand loved her son. My meeting with her confirmed this beyond any doubt. The question, I believe, is whether or not Sam perceived his mother's love. Both Sam and the President talk about the beach as though if it were a real, physical place, but I remain convinced that it does not exist, that it is a shared illusion, and that Sam and Amelie's so-called visits are mental construct. Sam would not necessarily be aware of this, especially if it had been planted in his mind. Such an explanation would fit with his claims that he has never been able to visit the beach of his own volition. What if, subconsciously, Sam has developed an attachment to or longing for the beach, one that parallels his feelings towards his sister and mother? Furthermore, what if they have all become, in essence, object of veneration? Upon further consideration, it is not so hard to imagine. President Strand is an exceptional woman who exhibits pan-romantic qualities, as does her daughter Amelie. They're both pan-romantics! Oh, that's cute! This is surely one of the reasons why they have been able to commit themselves so completely to the cause of American Reconstruction, their one true love. Sam, on the other hand, I have diagnosed as demisexual. His sexual desires are strictly limited to those with whom he has formed an emotional connection, excepting family members like Amelie, of course. It is only natural to come It is only natural to more highly regard those with whom we develop intimate emotional connection. For children, this can be led to veneration, yet there is also an inherent contradiction in this, for divinity is distant by nature even as we yearn to grow closer to it. I have come to the conclusion that this contradiction is at the root of Sam's aphenphosmphobia. I decided to share with Sam my working theory regarding his condition. I was prepared to some resistance, but the intensity of his anger was surprising. He glared at me as he reframed my assessment as wild speculation that he had been brainwashed by a cult. It was the first time I'd managed to coax from him a powerful emotional response. While I found it a little frightening, I did my best to remain professional, welcoming the breakthrough, the reduction in the distance between us. That was how I presented myself, but in retrospect, a part of me was delighted by his aggressive response. Sam stated that he's a repatriate. I challenged him and said that the repatriation was nothing more than a fiction used to explain the phenomenon of near-death experience, one that makes use of the equally fictional beach. Emboldened, I pressed him further until I finally told him to snap out of it, to renounce his fantasies about the other side. For an instant, I thought he might explode in anger again, but instead he grew quiet, and after a long moment rose to his feet and left the room without saying another word. I fear I may have pushed him too hard. Report number 7. Oh God, where to begin? This is not good. What's in this report? Sam turned up for his appointment today right on time. I remember he looked calmer than usual, though that might have been wishful thinking. He'd been thinking a lot about our last session and how it had ended. He said he wished I was right about the beach and what it meant to be a repatriate. That he appreciated the time we spent together, that I had spent listening to his stories, and then he pulled out a syringe. He was still so calm, though, at that point I sure wasn't. He said that it wasn't all in his head, and that he could prove it, and then he stuck the needle in his chest. It all happened so fast. I froze in my chair as he went into convulsion, eventually falling out of his seat. I ran to him, and then, as he was laying on the floor motionless, I removed the syringe and performed chest compression, but it was too late. I sat there, next to him, for what felt like an eternity. And then he opened his eyes and sat up, still wearing the same calm expression. There was another handprint on his arm, a fresh one, left by the dead, he told me before. I'm a repatriate, he said. Every time I die, I get stuck in between and then come back. He was searching my eyes now, reaching for the word as much as they were struggling to come out. That world won't have me, and neither will this one. I'm only free to come and go when I'm with her, with Amelie. There were tears in his eyes. He looked so lonely, so I started crying too. I'd taken his hand in mine without realizing it, but he didn't pull away. I squeezed and he squeezed back. He needs someone he can be close to, be intimate with, someone outside his family, someone who isn't Bridget or Amelie, someone to whom he can reveal the world of himself, someone who will devote themselves to him. Me. I don't remember what I said, but I remember that he nodded, that he smiled, that we held each other for a long, long time. Does that mean he's cured? Nope. Report number 8. A few days after the incident in my office, I tendered my resignation. A classic case of counter-transference, the therapist getting emotionally involved with their client. And there was no way my professional pride would permit me to continue working. I felt guilty, of course. There's a permanent shortage of therapists, and many of my clients would struggle to find help elsewhere. But after what happened with Sam, I didn't see any other option. To be honest, I've already come to terms with it. What I'm doing for Sam more than makes up for it. I never normally use his word, but I really do believe his aphenphosmphobia has been cured. He has shown so much progress that absent an extremely traumatic experience, I doubt his symptoms will ever return. To my surprise, the president didn't have any problems with our relationship. If anything, she was pleased. I suppose it means I'll soon be joining the Strand family together with his new life growing inside of me. Uh-oh! Our baby is doing well. We've been told we're having a girl. Sam already picked up a name for her, Louise. Lou, he likes to call her. He talks to her a lot, touching my stomach, telling her to grow big and strong. Bridget was delighted when she found out, as suggested, that we take a family photograph. Amelie was out of town, so it was just the three of us, blushing, smiling. And that same blush, that same smile when we received the printout, along with apologies for being old-fashioned. There was a funny little message on it. Be stranded with love. Handwritten and signed. It's unique now. You can't digitize or copy it. I'll always remember those words. And that moment. Forever. Report number 10. I'm gonna change the music because it's almost over. Yeah.
Today I'm kinda feeling like a ghost. Call my friends but ain't nobody home. Tell myself I'm fine but I don't really know. I'm just scared that I'll end up alone. I never let it show.
Alright. Lil Lou is 20 weeks old now. The doctor just checked us both out and said we're doing fine, but I'm not sure. Lately I've been having the same terrible dream every night. I open my eyes and I'm all alone on the beach. I'm lonely and afraid. So I start wandering around looking for someone, anyone. I spot Sam and Amelie standing at the water's edge, their backs to me. Relieved, I call up to them. Her hair shimmers in the gray light, but when she turns, it's her mother's face, twisted with sadness and pain. She speaks and says, "I'll be waiting for you at the beach," and I scream. I scream so loud, and then I wake up. Everything's gone wrong. I didn't understand at the time. I was a therapist, a good one, but even I couldn't make sense of the nightmares, of what was happening to me. Bridget came to me the other day. "They're not nightmares," she said. I hadn't told her yet. I felt Lou stirring inside me as she continued. She said she was sorry, that she hadn't known it would happen. Lou's special. She said that a lot. Lou and Sam's blood, and through her I was bound to the beach. "Don't be afraid," she said that a lot too. I'd cured Sam, made him whole, giving him a life to live for, to protect, made him a part of this world. She has a lot to say about that, about how the world was a jumbled mess, life and death all mixed up. But that Sam, my Sam, might be the one to make it whole again, like I would make him whole. Without him, our fate was sealed. But with him, there was still hope for a future. And then she told me I was right. The beach exists within each of our minds. But that didn't mean it was just a figment of our imagination. It had value, purpose. Anytime I would understand. She took my hand like I'd taken his on that day a lifetime ago. She smiled and squeezed. I was there on the beach. Everything I had seen in my nightmares I saw in that instant. Somewhere inside of me Lou was laughing. And then it all fell into place. Sam's bird, his family, the Death Stranding. For the first time I saw all the pieces fit into a terrible truth I didn't want to believe but couldn't deny. I saw in my part in it too, and little Lou's. Those funny little words on the picture. Be stranded with love. And I was. You'll have questions, and I wish I had all the answers, but I don't. I only hope this will help you to understand. Lou's kicking woke me up. I was alone, still half asleep, so everything around me looked askew. That all too familiar feeling of the waking and dreaming being tangled up. But you and Bridget and Amelie lead even more muddled lives, don't you? A reality between life and death. between this world and the next, because all of this chaos and confusion beyond imagination stranded on our shore. There are pills on the table next to me that I just took. All at once, I've tried to make sense of it, but this wasn't never my world. I was born into an older one without a beach, where the dead stayed buried and life moved on. Damn it, I'm shaking so hard. I don't think the drugs are working. I've got some syringe loaded with sedative. Enough, I think. I'm going to use them, one after another, until I run out. I love you, Sam. I will always love you. And this is how she died, necrotized and exploded, and that created the void out near Central Knot City. First, there was an explosion.